Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. Experienced a small technical glitch just now, but we're going to work our way through that. And first thing I need to know is, can y'all hear me? Give me a 1 if you can hear me. Otherwise, everything else is irrelevant. Well, I'm waiting for you all to do that. And you'll have to bear with me tonight because for some reason I have this cough that's been going on pretty much since I decided I would do this. All right. Thank you, Sister Vanessa and Brother Kevin. And before the brother says, hey, brother, make sure that you put the banner up, I will put the banner up. And that's not what I want it to look like. So we're going to change that. There we go. So how's everybody feeling tonight? This is a hold up, my bad. Let me greet everybody. BB4 Straight Black Pride, the brother Elijah. BB4 Straight Black Pride, the sister Vanessa. BB4 to brother you got ripped off. BB4 Straight Black Pride to brother Kevin. And greetings to brother Lead. And greetings to Boss. All right. First time I've seen Boss in here. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe because we are a handful away from 700 subscribers. And I said that I would apply for the low-level YouTube monetization when I got to about 750. So that's in sight. And of course, that is different from the high-level monetization, which requires 1,000 subscribers, which is, that's in sight as well. Interesting thing is, if I could just move a few more Instagram followers over to YouTube, that would be an easy accomplishment. Anyway, tonight we will be discussing two things that are majorly in the news and in the internet and so forth and so on. When I initially started, and y'all let me know if the music is too high or too low, because one thing I realized while I was editing a video today, trying to calibrate sound through headphones, trying to calibrate sound through your computer and calibrate sound through your TV, all gives you different settings. So I spent an extra long time doing a video today trying to get sound quality right. And y'all had to let me know tomorrow if it's right, because literally 3 different mediums, they all sounded different to me. Guess that's why I'm not a sound editor. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about 3 things that are in the news, all over the news, or all over the internet. And it's interesting because one of the things is all over Black I guess you could say, the black internet, for lack of a better word, or black social media. And that is the interview that Shannon Sharpe, former NFL player, did with Katt Williams. Katt Williams, a comedian. He was in, I believe, Friday After Next. And he also, if I'm not mistaken, y'all correct me on this, he voiced a pimp named Slickback on the Boondocks animated show. And he's known for his stand-up. He's known for saying some controversial things. He's also known for saying some enlightening things if you really pay attention to him. BB48 to Raw Ito Vital. And so he's known, that's what he's known for. Now, the Shannon Sharpe, former NFL player, pretty good player, I'll say. He calls his show Club Shay Shay. Now, look, let me just keep it 100. I, as a straight black man, would not be allowing anyone to call me Shay Shay as a grown adult. It's just not gonna happen. Not gonna name my dog Shay Shay. Not gonna call any of my homeboys Shay Shay. It's just not gonna happen. I just want to throw that out there because I just find that interesting, right? As we go on tonight, we're going to find a lot of things interesting. And so that's what's going on in black internet. The Katt Williams story. Everybody's talking about Katt Williams, man. Katt Williams said this. Katt Williams said that. Katt Williams talked about this person and that person. Katt Williams talked about dudes wearing dresses, which he did talk about dudes wearing dresses. The interesting thing is that Katt Williams didn't really say anything that Dr. Welsing and Brother Genie haven't talked about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? But it's cool because he named names. That's the difference. And since he named names, then people, the gossipy aspect of it is what people caught. Here's the part that people didn't catch that I caught, right? Katt Williams said, now he named all these names, all these people. Now everybody talked about Cedric the Entertainer. Everybody talked about what's the guy's name? Smiley guy. What's his name? Y'all help me out. Because some of these people, they've been out for a while, but they've been around so long that they're no longer, because there's only so much entertainment I can take, and my entertainment is kind of not that. The black comedy thing is not what I do. Because black comedy is so vulgar now, right? So, he talked about Steve Harvey and, so forth. So, Ricky Smiley, right? Yeah, Ricky Smiley, thank you. So, he talked about these people. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But he said something that I caught that I haven't heard anybody else talk about. It's almost like he didn't say it. And it was funny because I was talking to Brother Genie and he was like, yeah, I caught that too. And I ain't heard nobody else talk about it. I said, okay, I thought I was tripping for a minute. I actually went back. You ever go back and look at the part and be like, wait, hold on. Did he say that? So I went back to it, right? And he said that Harvey Weinstein propositioned him in front of a group of people, that he would perform on him if he signed the contract. Now, I don't have the video because I got enough video up here. This thing probably going to get taken down, I'm being completely honest. Just being completely honest. And I didn't want to go through that and try to bleep it out because it was so vulgar that I was like, I can't really use this without just bleeping out virtually the whole section, because it was short and it was quick, right? But I noticed no one was talking about that. All the black people talked about every black person. Nobody talked about a man propositioning another man in front of a room full of people. We didn't talk about that. Like that just happens every day. Now, I know in Hollywood it probably does happen every day. But where I'm from, That don't happen every day. You know what I'm saying? So I saw that and I was like, wow, black people just missed that. That's interesting. And then, and it's so interesting because I was going to make the connection. And then today, the connection came out before I made the connection. I was like, this is hilarious. So, no one talks about Weinstein and who he is. And so, that's what black people are talking about. White people are talking about Epstein. Who's on the list? Who they think went to the island? What they did. And then they were talking about certain people who were responding. So, attorney Alan Dershowitz is on the list, right? And Dershowitz came out and started talking about all types of stuff. He started talking about the attack on Israel and vicious assaults on women that Hamas did, and calling people anti-Semitic. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but is Jeffrey Epstein your man or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you these type of folks you rolling with or not? Like, all this other stuff you talking about is not really relevant to what we talking about, right? So that happened. And people were talking about who's on the list, and people talking about Bill Clinton. Now, let's stop right there. William Jefferson Clinton, former president of the United States, has been accused of sexual improprieties. Literally, if I'm not mistaken, and I may be off by a year or two, since I was in high school. I was in high school last century. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? So the idea that William Jefferson Clinton did something inappropriate sexually, I mean, come on, man. That we should just accept that as, like, just give us the details so we can see if it matches up with the other details. And then we like, oh, yeah, okay, we know he did it, right? Like, that should shock no one. The fact that William Jefferson Clinton would be hooked up with a billionaire in New York when his wife, Senator Hillary Clinton, was representing New York, again, should surprise no one, right? No one should be shocked by those allegations on Mr. Clinton. They're interesting, but what no one is talking about is what is the connection between a Weinstein and an Epstein, besides their last name ending in Steen. That pattern of behavior that we see from Weinstein and Epstein is it connected? Was a connection between Hollywood and big finance? So those are the issues we're going to discuss. But I had to put it in a way that people would be attracted to it, and then they would come for the knowledge. So I just took the two biggest stories that are going on. We're going to slap them together. We're going to put them in front of people, and we're going to discuss them as we normally do. So before I do that, I must make this service announcement. As I've stated previously, we're currently looking for sponsors for the show. If you have a business or a service, you would like it advertised during this live stream, well, not this particular live stream, but during an upcoming live stream or during a YouTube video, email me at dc.radical_1@protonmail.com. Or if you follow me on Instagram, you can DM me on Instagram, dc.radical1 at Instagram. Secondly, last month, I set before you all a deal. If you take care of my expenses for carrying on the show, I would guarantee you all a certain amount of content. Now, I guaranteed you all at least 4 uploads a month. This would technically be number 3. Tomorrow, upload number 4 is coming up. So I'm going to ask that you all cover the expense for the StreamYard tonight, unless you want to wait for tomorrow, when I have fulfilled my obligation. You're like, well, DC, how much is that? It's about $30 for the StreamYard. Again, we made that deal. I'm putting it out there. And then after tonight, after we're finished, I'll check and see if we have it. If we have it, we good. If we don't have it, well, the video's still going up tomorrow anyway, so I still will fulfill my obligation. Plus, I got another video I'm working on tonight. Brother, you got ripped off. Suggest 10 people get $5. Hey, I'm with that, brother. Now, we got Brother Tony Campbell says it's like when inspired birth of a nation, small hats commit heinous crimes, point finger at black people. Oh, brother. See, you jumping ahead of the class, brother. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Now that we done the service announcements, let's get into it. Now, Weinstein, right, in Hollywood, Epstein, financier. But the part about Epstein that no one wants to talk about, for whatever reason, is maybe it's not just like, because think about it, right? Okay, you're a billionaire allegedly, and you have connections with all these people, and I understand that for business reasons you would make these connections, but why make connections for people not just who have money, but people who are high profile? And why would you attempt to rope them into these things that you're doing? So we're going to look at a definition of a word first, and then we're going to go into the Epstein story. So first, we're going to look at the definition of a word that most people don't know. And this word is honey trap. You're like, all right, DC, why are we doing word definitions? Let's look at the definition first. Honey trap, also known as honey pot. Noun, an investigative technique that tests the fidelity of a spouse or significant other by attempting to lure them into a romantic or liaison. That's not what we're talking about. You're like, okay, definition 2. A scenario in which espionage, whereby an agent enters into a romantic or sexual relationship with a civilian and seeks leverage that intimacy to coerce or blackmail the target to discover secret information. The key word in that is leverage. Now you're going to ask me, DC, what does that have to do with the cost of tea in China? All right, let's look at our first article because it's our oldest one. And it says, this from the Middle East Monitor. Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing politicians for Israel Mossad, new book claims. Right? In fact, this is 3 years old, almost 3 years to the day. Says the deceased American financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell were Israeli spies who used underage girls to blackmail politicians, and I will add other prominent people, into giving information to Israel, according to their alleged handler. The couple reportedly ran a honey trap operation in which they provided young girls to prominent politicians from around the world for illicit activities, and then used the incidents to blackmail them in order to obtain information for Israeli intelligence. The claims are being made by the alleged former Israeli spy Ari Ben Menashe in a soon-to-be-released book, Epstein, Dead Men Tell No Tales, in which he said he was the handler for Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, who was also an Israeli espionage agent and was one who introduced his daughter and Epstein, to Mossad. See, messing around is not a crime, could be embarrassing, but it's not a crime, Menashe wrote in his book. But messing around with 14-year-old girls is a crime. And he was taking photos of politicians messing around with 14-year-old girls. And if you want to get it straight, they, Epstein and Maxwell, would just blackmail people like that. The handler, Ben Menashe, himself an Iranian-born Israeli businessman, who says he worked for Mossad from 1977 to 1987, is a mysterious figure who was arrested in 1989 in the U.S. on charges of arms dealing. He was acquitted in 1990, however, only after a jury accepted that he was acting on behalf of the state of Israel. Let's think about that. He was arrested in the United States, but because he was acting as an agent for Israel, he was acquitted. Take all the time you need to process that information. Israel then denied that Menashe has any links with his intelligence service and attempted to distance itself from him, despite the fact that other news reports, both in the US and Israel, confirmed that he was acting on the country's behalf. Let's stop right there. So this person, Ari Ben Menashe, it's been confirmed that he has connections with the Mossad, right? And he's saying that he was the handler for Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, right? And that he brought Ghislaine and Epstein into the business, right? Are we there? We follow this, right? Now, let's get back to the story. He says the new book, which also speculates that Maxwell may have worked for other governments as a double or triple agent, says that despite reports that Epstein and Maxwell met in the early 1990s in New York, they in fact met earlier through her father, who introduced Epstein to the Mossad before Ghislaine joined the activities later. Jeffrey Epstein, who was facing charges for sex trafficking minors, was found dead in his New York prison cell on the 10th of August. According to official reports, he committed suicide, but there's been much speculation and evidence put forward that he was in fact killed, with many stating he may have been assassinated due to his knowledge of the figures he blackmailed and the acts that he committed. I would say that not only that, but because of his connections to intelligence service. The statements made by Menashe are so far unsubstantiated, but if proven true, they would provide significant evidence of Israel being involved in the blackmail of senior and prominent politicians and figures in the United States of America. This would only add to the state's already revealed track record of manipulating Western nations' political systems, as seen in the revelations of the Israeli lobby's attempt to take down British and U.S. politicians revealed in the past years, right? Now, here's like no one, I've been scanning the news services and all that. No one is talking about this aspect of the story. No one is talking about the obvious, right? The obvious ethnic background of Mr. Weinstein and Mr. Epstein. No one is talking about who Mr. Maxwell was, Ghislaine Maxwell's father. We just know that his name is Maxwell. And if you look it up, you see Robert Maxwell. But when you just actually go and look and say, well, all right, well, who is Robert Maxwell? You go here and it says, Ian Robert Maxwell was born Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hack. You like, wait, what? It says Robert Maxwell was born the 10th of June, 1923 into a poor Yiddish-speaking Orthodox Jewish family in the small town of Stastinsky Doli in the region of the Carpathian Ruthenia in Czechoslovakia. All right, brothers and sisters. So let's start counting. Robert Maxwell, small hat. Jeffrey Epstein, small hat. The guy Benashe, small hat. Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously small hat. We're starting to get a clearer picture of where I will be going tonight. Right? So, let's go back here. It says, breaking, new batch of 17 exhibits from Epstein documents unsealed by court today. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to how this is written, because this is written very interestingly. Pay close attention, because I'm going to go back. Right? It says another drop of Epstein documents was released by the court on Monday, today. 17 exhibits were unsealed. Epstein victim Sarah Ransom said in 2016 emails to the New York Post editor Maureen Callahan that she had been sent footage by her friend showing her having relations with William Jefferson Clinton, Donald J. Trump, Richard Branson of Virgin Atlantic and all that. But Ransom added that she could not share the videos without her friend's consent. Now, y'all heard that part, right? Now, let's go a little further and see if that matches up with what we just read. Ransom wrote that her friend had to have relations with Clinton in Epstein's New York mansion just off of Fifth Avenue on numerous occasions that she had them. With my friend had relations with Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Richard Branson, tapes were in fact filmed on each separate occasion by Mr. Epstein. Stop right there. If Mr. Epstein was simply want his friends to party and have a good time, right? He wouldn't document it. But Mr. Epstein documented these interactions. If he documented these interactions, why? What was the key word in the honey trap? The key word was leverage. Remember this word, right? Because when we go from the financier, Jeffrey Epstein area, and we go to the smaller area, which is Hollywood and the music industry, remember that leverage word, because that's going to be a key to everything that we talk about tonight. In addition to the fact that the Steens and the Steins and all these names are going to come together. But sometimes what you have to do, if a person's of a certain age, be before they straight back pride to Brother Dessalines, is you're going to have to actually go look up their real name or where they're really from. Because plain and simple, everybody doesn't go by their real name in Hollywood. And there's a reason for that, right? So, all right. Thank you all to who have donated thus far. And if you want your name mentioned, I'll mention your name. And if not, I won't. So y'all let me know if you don't mind your name mentioned. So yeah, that is the essence of a honey trap. The fact that you are filming these interactions, which are illegal at worst and immoral at best, considering that I think all of these men, if I'm not mistaken, were married and they are engaging in activities with women that not only are not their wives, but women that are probably half their age, 1/3 of their age. Yeah, probably more, less than 1/3 of their age, now that I think about it. Now it says Ransom wrote that her friend managed to get a hold of some footage of the filmed tapes, which clearly identified the faces of Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Branson interacting with her. She wrote that she managed to convince her friend to forward some of the footage to her, adding that she can confirm with my own eyes that the film clearly identifies William Jefferson Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Richard Branson having relations with her. Now, stop right there. I've named 3 people clearly multiple times, but we started off with 4 people. Who's the person that I mentioned at first at the beginning of the article that hasn't been mentioned since thus far? Y'all put it in the chat if y'all notice a name missing. Now, but we're going to get there. Says Ransom wrote that her friend had filed a police report in 2008, but nothing was done, and she was utterly humiliated by the police department. A couple of months later, she then was approached by special agents forces men sent directly by Hillary Clinton herself in order to protect her presidential campaign in 2008. I forgot about that. Hillary ran in 2008 against Obama, right? Y'all help me out. Make sure I'm not tripping. They heavily intimidated her, ruffled her up. Luckily, she took photos as evidence, and was then forced to sign a confidentiality agreement, which ensures that she can never come forward publicly implicating her husband, William Jefferson Clinton. She was then given a substantial payout directly from the Clinton Foundation to keep her quiet. She is 1000% certain that the FBI did a cover-up and that she has the individual names of Hillary Clinton's special agent officers involved in intimidating her. She was then forced against her will to sign a legally binding confidentiality agreement on Hillary's behalf for her eternal silence. If she breaks this agreement, she is dead, quote unquote. Ransom wrote that her friend had confided in her about her casual quote unquote friendship with Donald Trump. Mr. Trump definitely seemed to have a thing for her, and she told me he kept going on about how he liked her pert nipples, quote unquote. In an October 13th, 2016 email, Ransom wrote to Callahan that we need to get the other girls to come forward, Maureen, as they are all afraid. I, however, am not intimidated and need your help. These men destroyed my life. Let's stop right there. Now, I'm going to say this. Do I believe that Donald J. Trump saw a young lady and made some inappropriate remarks about her? Oh, yeah, absolutely. We know Trump. One, he likes to flirt. If she's a European female who's blonde and books him in the chest area, he noticed. And we have no doubt about that. But what's interesting is I keep hearing his name thrown around, but there's no evidence of him actually partaking in things that other people are saying. They got videos and audios and all this, all these other people. But I always notice that his name is thrown in there. Now, the evidence is going to come out sooner or later. We're going to know, right? But I just find it interesting that he's always thrown in there. And to me, it's obvious that Mr. Epstein did his best to lure in Trump. And for whatever reason, we don't know what happened. We'll see. Now, let me get back to the article. She apologized for a headed first email in which Callahan wrote in reply, "No need to apologize at all. I'm with you. The more girls who can come forward, the better." In another email dated October 21st, 2016, Ransom wrote, "Mark my words. I will make sure that neither that evil bee, Hillary, or the pedo, Trump, gets elected. I will also make sure that everyone on the planet sees that footage and photos and will release them to WikiLeaks by Sunday. I will take down Epstein and his bunch of bleep, bleep, bleep cronies myself." Now, apparently that didn't happen because Mr. WikiLeaks had enough. He had enough trouble before that information even came out. He said, "You lost your exclusive, and I am super bleeped off now," she wrote, adding that she had gone to a Russian newspaper. An October 22nd, 2016 email from Ransom stated that her emails had been hijacked, adding that she reached out to the Russians for help, and they are coming to my aid. "Thanks for your help. You really took one for the team. Nice. I hope you go to sleep at night wondering just quite where you will end up after this life is finished. Don't believe me? I can prove it to you. You don't know who I am, and I'm not going away until I have achieved my goals on getting the bad guys where they belong." All right, now hold up. And I just thought about something. This is before, because this is 2008, and then 2016. But the 2008 situation is before the Pizzagate situation came up. Now let's stop right there, because I wasn't even thinking about it. Y'all tell me, has anyone, and I mean anyone, connected the dots between Epstein and the Pizzagate situation? Y'all tell me. Now, because let's be realistic. If Mr. Clinton is involved with Epstein, right? And Miss Clinton has been accused of being involved in Pizzagate, what are the chances that both of those things are just ridiculous lies? I mean, think about it. We have a married couple of wealthy, powerful people who have individually and collectively been accused of heinous sex crimes that may have involved children. I mean, all this could be coincidence. All this could be lies. All this could be conspiracy theory. Or where there's smoke, there could be fire. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Now, it says an email sent October 23rd, 2016 from Ransom stated that she was retracting everything after speaking to my family at some length this morning. "I shouldn't have contacted you, and I'm sorry I wasted your time. It's not worth coming forward, and I will never be heard anyhow, and only bad things will happen as a consequence of my going public. And I know this to be true." One exhibit filed by Virginia Guffey lawyers against Maxwell said that Maxwell and those who worked for Epstein had used a secret server called Mindspring to communicate about daily tasks and events. One employee complained that they had become ridiculous, saying that Epstein would demand coffee or orange juice through the server when he was in the same house as the employees. Another exhibit is a previously sealed testimony from hearing on whether Epstein should be compelled to give testimony. Both Maxwell and Jeffrey wanted him to, but he declined. Epstein said repeatedly that he would not answer questions for fear of, I think that's supposed to say fear of, criminal prosecution. Yay, you have the right to not incriminate yourself. You know, that's an American right. Now, here's something I want to show real quick about Mr. Epstein that I just found interesting when I saw it. And when I saw it, I was like, I've never seen this. And this goes all the way back to, I believe, 2008. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pause the music and we're going to load up the video. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. It's a very quick video. And then when I show it, you're going to be like, oh, I see you, DC. So here we go.
The last time we saw Jeffrey Epstein in West Palm Beach was September 6th of last year. He was getting off his private jet at PBIA to huddle with lawyers, fighting charges he used his mansion in Palm Beach for sexual escapades with girls under 18. Reliable sources tell us he'll report for a 1.5-year term in prison in Florida in June, then face a year probation. The fact that Epstein was allowed to travel to Israel reflects his vast business interests around the world, according to someone close to the case. But allowing someone soon to be imprisoned on felony charges to leave the country is highly irregular. That, according to investigative journalist John Connolly, who has covered the Epstein scandal from day one.
In most instances where people are facing criminal time and because a plea agreement has been made or they're under arrest for serious charges, they are forced to surrender their passport. And apparently Mr. Epstein has not been forced to do that.
The fact that the court ordered Epstein not to have contact with underage girls may indicate that Epstein will be labeled a sex offender. That is something his vast stable of high-powered attorneys have been fighting. Sources tell us that Epstein will likely report to a state prison with modern internet facilities so that he can do business from behind bars. It's been more than 3 years now since Palm Beach police started investigating Jeffrey Epstein. Reporter Connolly says money has bought him time.
I've always been a bit shocked by the way the state prosecutor has handled this case from the get-go. Historically, the police have asked for arrest warrants and been given them. In this case, because of apparently some very high-powered attorneys, they've treated Mr. Epstein much differently.
I just found that interesting because Mr. Epstein, hold up, my bad. I just found that interesting because Mr. Epstein not only left the country, but brothers and sisters, where did he go when he left the country? Y'all let me know where he, and think about it. This was in way back, I believe in 2008, where they already, apparently from that video, he had been convicted and was awaiting sentencing, I guess a sentencing hearing, but he left the country. He went to Israel and then he came back almost like he had to make sure that he was getting some instructions or make sure that he would be covered or whatever it was. Whatever, whatever discussion was had over there in Israel. And then he came back. He got a slap on the wrist. He did his time. And because they were talking about West Palm Beach. Next thing we know, he's in New York. And then sometime later, he has an island where his activities are going on. You mean to tell me that it's just the money and it's not the connections that allow you to leave the country and come back? I mean, I think it kind of speaks for itself. This is literally how, like, someone like a diplomat or someone gets treated. It's like, hey, this diplomat committed a crime. Oh, well, he got immunity, so just send him back here. Now, he didn't get the total immunity, but what he was charged with and the time he did was way less than he would have did. And then all of a sudden later on, when things got too hot, it appeared that they decided to dispose of him. And now he's no longer breathing. Now everybody said, oh, well, his connections to this person and that person, that's probably why he, expired. Like, what I'm saying? We're not going to speculate. But the reality of the situation is, let's just say we say he was killed. Because he died under mysterious circumstances. Everybody agrees with that. It has to be a professional. It's not that, it's no regular. This person is sitting in a Manhattan jail, high level security, and somehow commits suicide, and allegedly they don't even have any tapes of what happened. That sounds, we've all seen the spy movies, we all see, we see Marvel movies and stuff, and whatever, and people come up and they cut the feed and they give you a false feed, and the security or the police are looking at the video feed and they're showing nothing. And while they're doing that and they walk off somewhere, or somebody falls asleep or something, or they get hit upside the head, they get in the cell and break somebody out, or they get in the cell and kill somebody. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds like conspiracy theory. It sounds like a movie because we all seen it in the movies. So what happens is, if it ever happens, the first thing a person says is, "Oh man, that's crazy. You saw that in that movie." I'm not saying that's what happened to Mr. Epstein. I'm just saying that what happened to Mr. Epstein sounds a lot like the stuff that you see in the movies, which is interesting. That's all I'm saying, right? So now we're going to go to, let's see, we're going to go to our next article. This is from the Daily Mail. It says, Epstein list reignites suspicion of pedo financier was working for Mossad and blackmailing the elite with the help of information he gleaned from quote-unquote useful idiot Prince Andrew after meeting Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak at least 36 times. How many times, brothers and sisters? 36 times. Says the Jeffrey Epstein list of associates unsealed by U.S. judge has reignited suspicion the pedophile financier was an asset for Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency. Israel's former Prime Minister Ehud Barak was identified in the bombshell dossiers Wednesday night. He served as Prime Minister from 1991 to 2001 after serving in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, for 35 years, rising to Chief of General Staff. While he is mentioned only fleetingly in the new files, an Epstein victim asked whether she'd ever given Barak a massage, there's long been speculation surrounding his relationship with the financier. Barak. Hold on. Real quick. Barak met with Epstein some 36 times and was pictured entering his Manhattan townhouse with a scarf around his face in 2016. Young women were seen coming in and out of the residence the same day. Former Israeli spies have gone on record stating that Epstein's international sex trafficking was a honeypot entrapment operation, gaining valuable information, compromat material to blackmail political and business elites. Prince Andrew is also named in the new list, was Epstein's quote-unquote useful idiot, according to ex-intelligence agent, and described by the financier as his Super Bowl trophy for his powerful connections. Super Bowl trophy. Man, anyway. During the pair's friendship, Andrew invited Ghislaine Maxwell and the financier to high society events in London, even allowing them to stay at the Queen's Balmoral estate. At the time, Andrew served as the UK's international trade envoy, helping the government to promote business abroad. Maxwell, who acted as Epstein's madam, is also closely intertwined in the alleged honey trap operation. Her father, Robert Maxwell, a British newspaper magnate, is alleged to have been a Mossad agent and may have provided the link between Epstein and Jerusalem's intelligence agency. Right? Now, my bad. That's a picture of him. That's a picture of him in a cut. Like Epstein's alleged hanging while awaiting trial, Maxwell's death on his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, off the coast of Spain in 1991, has attracted suspicions of assassination. So her father died on a yacht, suspiciously. Interesting. And that is, I guess that's Prince Andrew right here. It's Jeffrey and Ghislaine. Says Prince Andrew wasn't being blackmailed, he was being used as a useful idiot. Former Mossad operative Ari Ben Menashe told RT International. He was being used to bring in some of the celebrities. Menashe worked for Israel's military intelligence directorate from 77 to 87, as we spoke of earlier. The late financier also met with current head of the CIA, William J. Burns, on numerous occasions in 2014. Interesting. Hold on now. I didn't see that before. It says Prince Andrew vehemently denies any allegations against him, and last year settled. Wait a minute, hold up. And last year settled a $16 million civil lawsuit with Epstein victim Virginia Roberts, formerly Guthrie, who accused him of violating her. Now, wait a minute. If you vehemently deny all allegations, how you end up with a settlement? It's just like this. You know, anybody want to help me out with that? I am confused. How you end up with a settlement if you ain't do anything? If there's no evidence? Ah, man. Now, brother, you got ripped off, says, and we know that the Secret Service has been implicated in child sex trafficking. The highest levels of government. There's a clip, and I couldn't find it, where there was I think the guy was former CIA, and he spoke about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's dead now. This was a European. If anybody knows the clip I'm talking about, y'all can y'all let me know if y'all have seen it. So I think we've covered the Maxwell part and the Israel connection, right? I wanted to cover that in the first hour. I see we're first hour is already passed. Now you're going to say, okay, DC, we get it. Epstein, Mossad, honeypot, we get it. Now, what did that have to do with Hollywood? Well, I'm going to tell you. We just went over who Epstein was connected with and everything like that. And what his ethnicity is even. I mean, we don't have to question that because his name is Epstein. But when we get to Hollywood, first of all, we're going to go to the root of Hollywood. So, when we go to the root of Hollywood, we're going to go to, quickly, the man who they claim is the founder of Hollywood, right? William Nicholas Selig, born March 14, 1864, was a vaudeville performer and pioneer of the American motion picture industry. His stage name was Colonel Selig, would be used for the rest of his career, even as he moved into film production. But his born name is William Mikolaj Zelikowski. William Nikolaj Zelikowski was the son of a Bohemian Polish immigrant family. I'm gonna let you all figure out what you think his ethnicity is. You know what I'm saying? If you think he's a hat, if y'all got hat emojis, throw some hat emojis into the comments. So this is the alleged founder of one of the alleged founders of Hollywood. But in order to, we're going to go even further. We're going to go beyond just one person who allegedly founded Hollywood. And we're going to check this clip about who founded Hollywood and why. Because it's better to hear from the quote-unquote horse's mouth.
Trouble, in du der Trouble, wird herbreite. Der lebt Sachen, weil es helft kein Wein, kein Geschrei. Trouble hat größer in der Kleine.
Here were a group of Jews who had spent their lives seeking legitimacy and seeking to be embraced by America.
Hat jeder eine.
The dream with which the Jews came to America was very quickly frustrated.
They went into businesses that were not excluded to Jews.
As they approached the motion picture industry, they approached it from how they can distribute a product.
This was the greatest business in the world because the people paid the money before they got the goods.
So coming to California, they realized that they could create their own social environment. They could create an empire.
Up and show it to you.
Be optimistic.
Anyone, anywhere could identify with so many of the themes of American movies.
And smile.
This kind of movie-going was religious because it had to do with worship. It had to do with the screen being larger than you were, and you being in awe of what you were looking at.
I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy. Yankee Doodle do or die.
They were tough. They had to be tough.
I will not have quitters or lazy men working for Universal. That's straight from the shoulder, isn't it?
These guys were ruthless. They used women. They treated stars brutally sometimes. But they had redeeming qualities too. And they were, most of all, showmen. They loved movies. They lived for movies.
Make America unsafe for those who seek to tear down what others have built. Help keep America for those who believe in America.
We'll fight and endure and win together.
This committee has the responsibility of exposing subversive elements wherever they may exist.
That scared the shit out of them, because the last thing they wanted to be called was un-American.
Like home.
Now, did DC say or accuse the Zionists or Jews or anyone in particular like that of founding Hollywood, one of the most powerful industries in America? Or did the Jews say that they founded Hollywood, one of the most powerful industries in America? Right? I did not make that video. I did not write the book, An Empire of Their Own. There's a book and there's a documentary where the Jews say that they invented Hollywood. Now, the question is, if you listen to that, and I've shown that multiple times, I've shown it in lectures, I've shown it outside of lectures. it's something very interesting that was said, and I don't know the person who said it because I watched it like 5 times, and I only caught it like the last time. He says there was an element of worship in the film going experience because the screen is larger than you are. Think about what he's saying, brothers and sisters. In essence, he's saying that the film going experience itself is a form of ritual, and that you are then worshiping whatever they put on the screen. That's not me talking. That's him talking. Now, this, according to this group of people, we have a group of people, an ethnicity, who created a powerful industry and can use it however they choose to use it because they control the entire industry. What's interesting is this is also a group of people who often have dual citizenship between America and Israel. Not all the time, but often. But nobody questions this relationship. Nobody thinks anything of it. So if we know now, based on this video, that, and based on the book that I have, An Empire of Their Own, that they're the founders of Hollywood. And according to Dave Chappelle, where Dave Chappelle says, and he was there, he says, remember Dave Chappelle said, I'm not saying that the Jews control Hollywood. I'm just saying that I was in Hollywood and there were a lot of Jews there, right? That's what he said. So if we have established that they have significant influence there, then we have to accept that I'm going to suppose that they helped set the culture for Hollywood. So, all right, so what kind of culture do we have in Hollywood? See if I still have do I not have my, wait a minute, I lost my article. Well, I'll find it in a minute. You say ethno-religious group? We'll take that. Now, back to, and I don't know, I'll bring the article up shortly. Back to what Katt Williams said. Katt Williams said that he was offered sexual services from another male who's a big time producer. Now that it so happens that male, Harvey Weinstein, has been arrested, tried, and convicted for sexual impropriety in Hollywood, using what is known as the casting couch, right? So the question we have to ask ourselves is Harvey Weinstein a one-off? Is he just an individual deviant? Or is this kind of what Hollywood is, right? And brother, you got ripped off. You saying Katt Williams was solicited by Oprah Winfrey's best friend? You talking about Gail? Okay, I didn't see that part. And again, that's interesting in and of itself. Because there is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be telling lies. If I'm not mistaken, there's alleged connections between Oprah Winfrey and Weinstein. Am I not correct? You saying Weinstein was offered services from wait a minute, hold. Clarify what you said now, because you got me confused. But from my understanding, that Weinstein and Oprah had connections. And she has a lot of connections with a lot of hats, from my understanding, which explains her rise to the top. And she did work with Spielberg in The Color Purple, which was produced by Steven Spielberg. And y'all can let me know what type of name Spielberg is, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this next video that deals with the type of culture that has existed in Hollywood for decades. Just check this out.
To the unethical and often illegal practice where individuals in power positions, usually in the entertainment industry, exploit aspiring actors or other professionals with the promise or implication of career advancement in exchange for sexual favors. Throughout Hollywood's history, there have been many rumors and stories about the casting couch. Here are some accounts and anecdotes that have been publicly discussed. Number 1. Judy Garland remains an iconic figure in Hollywood history. Born Frances Ethel Gum, Garland was thrust into the limelight from a young age. Best remembered as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, her road to fame was not without its share of shadows. MGM Studios, where she signed a contract as a teenager, became a haven of success, but also a place of torment for the young actress. Louis B. Mayer, one of the most powerful figures at MGM, is alleged to have consistently abused his authority. Under the guise of praising her undeniable talent, he would touch her inappropriately, often placing his hands on her chest while complimenting her singing. Such moments provide a stark contrast to the glittering veneer of classic Hollywood, revealing an undercurrent of exploitation. Number 2, Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean Mortensen, who the world later came to adore as Marilyn Monroe, epitomized the glamorous Hollywood starlet, but her luminous on-screen presence hid personal struggles and encounters with the dark side of the industry. In her candid memoirs, Monroe pulled back the curtain on Hollywood's casting couch, dubbing it its best-kept secret. Early in her career, when she was still finding her footing in the treacherous landscape of Tinseltown, she often had to defend herself against the advances of men who believed they could use their power to extract sexual favors in exchange for career opportunities. Her stories paint a picture of a deeply entrenched system that traded dreams for degradation. Number 3, Shirley Temple. The golden curls and infectious smile of Shirley Temple belied the unsavory experiences she encountered behind the scenes. At the tender age of 12, a shocking incident with an MGM producer thrust her into the murky waters of Hollywood's predatory culture. The producer allegedly exposed himself to her during what should have been a routine meeting. Her instinctual response, a burst of nervous laughter, served as a shield, although it irked the executive. The incident with Temple highlights that age was no barrier for Hollywood's predators, with even the industry's youngest stars being at risk. Number 4, Joan Collins. An actress of immense talent and beauty, Joan Collins's Hollywood journey was marred by an encounter that could have changed the trajectory of her career. As she once revealed, the coveted role of Cleopatra, which eventually went to Elizabeth Taylor, was dangled before her. The price? Yielding to the desires of a studio head, and rumors say the particular executive had a fondness for arranging large and grotesque orgies filled with dwarves, gay men, and the biggest actresses in Hollywood. There are other sick details of debauchery and sexual deviance that we cannot mention on YouTube. Collins's refusal to compromise her dignity over a film role speaks volumes about her character and throws light on the manipulative games played in studio boardrooms. Number 5, Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren's collaboration with Alfred Hitchcock, particularly in The Birds, cemented her status as a silver screen legend. But their professional relationship has a dark side. Hedren has spoken out about Hitchcock's incessant and unwanted advances. The director's obsession with Hedren reached alarming levels, and when she rejected him, he made her professional life incredibly challenging. Hitchcock's behavior towards Hedren has become a cautionary tale, illustrating how even cinematic geniuses can harbor deeply problematic behaviors. Number 6, Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney's story serves as a poignant reminder that the casting couch did not exclusively prey upon women. A veritable powerhouse in his heyday, Rooney's memoirs provide a window into an often overlooked aspect of Hollywood's casting couch, its impact on men. He detailed an encounter where he was propositioned by a male MGM executive, revealing that power dynamics, rather than gender, often drove these exploitative interactions.
Now, here's what's interesting. I don't think a single person that was named there is still alive, which means that this culture of exploitation and sexual violation has existed in Hollywood basically from the beginning of the studio system. Let's go down. Let's start connecting the dots. We have a group of people who have started an industry. That industry has a history of exploitation and the use of sex to control people. That group of people, a man who belongs to that group of people, starts a honeypot operation, which uses sexual exploitation to gain leverage on people. Why is no one else talking about this? Why has no one else pointed this out? Why has no one else made these connections? Why is this aspect of these two major stories, which are occurring at the same time, being ignored? Why can't you talk? Why can't anyone else talk about this? I'll let you all decide that. So let's move forward. Let's see what Katt Williams said. Says, what did Katt Williams say about Harvey Weinstein? Legendary comedian makes a shocking claim against former producer. There's our brother right there, Katt Williams. Says comedian Katt Williams, during a recent interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay on January 3rd, revealed that Harvey Weinstein offered to perform on him orally during a meeting at his agency. He says, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to, you can figure it out, in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, it's 3 other black guys on there. Huh? I told him, nah. And then what did y'all do? So Katt Williams is saying he was offered services and that there were other black men on the script who he assumed the same deal was given to them, but he don't know. So we just saw Mickey Rooney. That man, Mickey Rooney was 100 years old when I was a little boy. Right? I don't know how. If Mickey Rooney was alive, he'd probably be 125. He said he was propositioned probably 80 years ago. So obviously, this is par for the course in Hollywood. We just have to accept that. Now, if you go into the Babylonian Talmud, you will understand why some of those things are, because some of these things are discussed in the Talmud. Those of you who have seen my lectures on the hidden enemies, you already know what I'm talking about. I can't play that clip here. I think that clip would without question get this whole thing taken down. This whole thing may still be taken down, but we're going to continue forward nonetheless. Let's get back to the article. Let's see if there's anything else, if there's more on here. Says the news came after Weinstein was charged with sexual assault in 2018. As per The Guardian, he was found guilty of 3 out of 7 felonies in 2020 and received a 23-year sentence. Weinstein currently serves at the Mohawk Correctional Facility in New York and is scheduled to be released in 2043. Now, hold up. He's serving in New York. And who else is from New York? Or who else was in New York? Says, however, from there he will be taken into custody and transferred to a prison in California for another 16 years. During the interview, Katt Williams talked about how several people in the industry have used a quote-unquote shortcut to success by giving into bizarre demands from those in power. He said that although he never made such demands, Weinstein allegedly tried to make an advance. And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, Katt Williams also spoke about Ricky Smiley, Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, and others, and why he isn't afraid of being blackballed. He said these personalities are not powerful. He also allegedly claimed that people sold their souls in Hollywood and act like it didn't happen. They all have the assets and they have all the assets and resources. They don't. But let's get on the line and see if that factors in. I guarantee that it don't. Now, where else have we heard these types of allegations about various types of people? We don't know I don't know whether it's true or not, but did not someone who allegedly Will Smith's best friend or longtime friend or whatever, although you can't be no friend spilling these type of beans, come out and say that Will Smith was engaged in activities with Dwayne Martin? Could he be lying? Without question. But when we look at Will Smith's children, do we not think something ain't right here? Right? But if you're part of that Hollywood situation, then we shouldn't be surprised. We've seen everyone who's seen Brother Jeannie's Pizzagate lecture. We've seen pictures of Jay-Z and Beyonce with another small hat. Wow, her name just escaped me. I just had her name. Who was doing the spirit cooking. You look up spirit cooking and you see this woman and you just, I can't even describe what it is because it looks, spirit cooking looks like cannibalism. That's what it looks like. And Jay-Z and Beyonce have been at those parties with this woman. Brother, you got ripped off. Help me out with the small hat's name. You know what I'm talking about, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Marina Abramovic. Thank you, brother. Marina Abramovic. Hold up. Let me put it up here. Yeah, it's Marina Abramovic. That's Jay-Z and Beyonce's. That's her people's. When you start looking at major black figures, if you pay close attention enough, no matter who they are, you will find a hat somewhere. Right? I'll give you a perfect example. And I'm not saying that this person did anything as far as the humiliation rituals that these people went through. But I'll give you a perfect example, right? I was paying attention to the Hip Hop 50th stuff, and somebody would hit me up. They was like, yeah, you know, your man Nas is he was messing with the Seagram's owner's daughter. And I'm like, what? So I went and looked it up. The hat that owns Seagram's, that inherited, I think, from his father, either his father or grandfather, his wife is like some type of like half black Colombian hybrid type of thing, right? And Nas was messing with their daughter. From what I've been able to find, brother, I haven't found that Hitchcock was a hat. But I just started looking into that. So I haven't found the evidence yet. So they were like, yeah. So then I went and saw it. And I was like, okay. And he's connected to the hats through her. Then technically she's a hat. So next thing I know, I look up and Nas has his started this foundation to help former rappers, and he gave an award to Rakim and Scarface, right? And gave them money and everything for not receiving their due during their career. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I look up, and there's some hat I never heard of. He helped found the foundation. It doesn't matter what Nas did. The point is, you can't even reach certain levels of wealth and success without the hats. So all of a sudden, Nas wins Grammys. Nas starts foundations. Nas gets recognition as being the best, and so forth and so on. And all I'm saying is, whenever you look up and you see some successful rapper or entertainer or whatever the case may be, somewhere lurking is a hat. So even if you don't go through the humiliation rituals of Hollywood, they got humiliation rituals in the music industry. And even if you don't go through the humiliation rituals, you still have to co-sign something that you normally wouldn't have done probably when you were 20 years old, but you're doing it now. So think about it. What did Nas do that we think he wouldn't have done when he was 20 that he ended up doing? Then next thing you know, he went in awards and all this type of stuff. And then we see the hats all around him. All he had to do was not condemn Little Nas for using his name and be shown bigging him up. And then after that, next thing we know, we see Little Nas X getting kids to worship the devil. So by extension, Nasir Jones co-signed Little Nas X getting children to worship the devil. But he made millions upon millions of dollars investing in Ring. He could say, hey man, I didn't have nothing to do with that. I just didn't want to condemn the young dude. Okay, bro. All I'm saying is, one way or another, when you're connected in those industries, you're going to pay the price some way. You're going to do some activity that you normally wouldn't have done. Right? Speaking of which, let's go to, because everybody's been talking about Diddy lately, and Diddy and Cassie, and Diddy did this, and Diddy did that. And what no one ever talks about is, who is the person that got Diddy to the point he is now, where he was in the industry and people, he was small time, and then he got on and got big time, right? No one ever talks about Diddy's mentor, and I use that word as Bob Baruti says it should be used. Diddy's mentor, Clive Davis. So check it out quickly. Says, we go back up. That's old Clive Davis. Says Clive Davis recalls how Diddy convinced him to take hip hop seriously. Take everything after this with a grain of salt. Says on a recent episode of Rock and Roll High School podcast with Pete Ganbarg, legendary music executive Clive Davis shared a story about how he was convinced of the merits of hip hop music by a young Sean Combs. Puffy was 23 years old, and I knew the artist that I had, Aretha, Dionne, Whitney, was one kind of music, Davis says. The Face ushered in a blue-collar R&B at its height. But sensing the hip-hop revolution, both L.A. Reid, and I agreed that we could use someone really attuned to the street. We got to know what you can do for yourself, and you got to know when you need to look to other people, right? Says Diddy was then an ambitious young record man who'd come up under Andre Harrell of Uptown Records. And teaming up with Davis, Sean Puff Daddy Combs would soon launch his own label, Bad Boy Entertainment. When I met with Puffy, he articulated that hip-hop should be part of the top 40 mainstream. and that the business would change in the future. That's according to Clive Davis. And I said, what have you got to illustrate that point? And he played me Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear. I remember that song because I got the promotional where it was Craig Mack on one side and Big on the other. So I actually heard that before either one of them brothers actually came out. And he played me Then Unknown Artist that he felt and believed so strongly. He played me 4 or 5 cuts from Notorious B.I.G. Davis was convinced and connected the young soon-to-be mogul to industry executives. I said, okay, you proved your point. That's when I introduced him to the weekly, what we call singles. The weekly singles meeting, Davis asked. I introduced him to an executive there as someone who would help lead us to the street and share the forthcoming hip-hop revolution. So we see here that without Clive Davis, Sean Puff Daddy Combs does not become who he is, right? Now, you like, okay, DC, so what? Sean Combs owes Clive Davis. You like, but okay, who is Clive Davis? Davis was born in Brooklyn, New York, to a Jewish family, the son of Herman and Florence Davis. I ain't got to read nothing else. Yeah, I ain't got to read nothing else. I just find it interesting that he invited a 23-year-old Sean Combs to the singles parties, meetings. Brother, you got ripped off says, I'm not saying nothing. I ain't even reading it. I'm just leaving it up there. You all can extrapolate for yourself. Right? Now, the Jaguar Wright said that she knew somebody that walked in on Sean Combs and y'all help me out what the other person was. And the other person was on their knees. And Sean Combs said, that's real power. If you can get a man to do that, that's power. Getting someone to service him. Does that not sound eerily familiar to what Katt Williams was just talking about? Is that not the same behavior? How many of you all saw the interview where Exhibit said that he was hanging out, and I think he was hanging out with a woman known as Superhead, and Sean Combs invited them to a party, and they went to a club, and they went in there and it's dark and everything, and they looking around and the music blasting, and you've ever been in a club and it's kind of dark and you can't really tell what's going on, especially if you up in the VIP and you kind of looking down. And he said he started looking down and looking around, and he suddenly realized that those were shirtless men dancing down there. And Exhibit said that he made his exit. I'm just saying the list of stories of Sean Combs' debauchery is long, and I don't even want to get into the speculation because you can find it anywhere. But my point is, who turned out Puffy? It's Clive Davis. Clive Davis said it. Now you like, well, DC, I mean, how we know Clive Davis, be engaged in those type of things. I'm glad you asked. Let's check this out.
Your life includes some fascinatingly honest detail about you, Clive Davis, your private life. It's made lots of headlines. I'm not breaching any confidence when I say you've had an interesting personal life. You got married twice to women, but as you're very honest in the book about, you're bisexual, and you've been involved in 2 lengthy relationships with men, including one now. What has been the reaction to these revelations in the book, and have you been surprised by it?
I've not been surprised, honestly, but firstly, from my family, from my children who've known, this wasn't that I was bisexual when I was married. This is something that only occurred after my second marriage failed. So for the first time, having failed in marriage twice, not related at all to sex, I opened myself up to the possibility of having a relationship with a person rather than a gender. And That's what I turned to. But I found that the attitude in general towards bisexuality is you're either gay, you're straight, or you're lying.
Right.
For me, it's not been that case. It may be, even though this is just a part of my life, and I wouldn't have written the autobiography without disclosing that, maybe some good will come of it.
I've always suspected that people who say they're bisexual, the celebrities I've seen who said it, probably are gay.
With a healthy degree of skepticism, I'm here to say that bisexuality does exist, and for me, I turned to it after my second marriage failed, and I dated women, and I dated a few men, and I ended up in a relationship with a man.
Gay marriage is now legal in 7 or 8 states in America. Would you like to get married to a man one day?
I've been married twice. That's enough for me. So then on that subject, you know, I've been there.
But are you pleased to see the way the gay marriage debate's
I'm very
gone?
pleased. I support same-sex marriage. I'm really so happy that President Obama has taken an affirmative position. I'm happy to see the public opinion polls that know that this is right and the right thing to do, so that, yes, I support it. I would contribute to the cause.
All right. Hey, heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Clive Davis says that he interacts with, he's still alive, right? Is he dead yet? I don't even actually know. I'm assuming he's still alive. So Clive Davis says that he interacts with men and women. That he got married twice to women and that didn't work, so he decided to go in the opposite direction. I'm just going to ask the brothers in the audience. How many brothers here have had at least 2 long-term relationships? Don't matter if you're married, just long-term relationships you had with a sister, and they didn't work. Y'all tell me, has that ever made you decide to, thank you, brother. Has that ever made you decide, you know, the thing with women ain't working? Maybe I'll try something. That never entered my mind. I think after a breakup that maybe I should try something else. Never happened. Never gonna happen. So the idea that after his 2 marriages, you know, he decides to try men. Okay, if you say so, Clive, I'll be in, you know, whatever, bro. All I'm going to say is, despite these people, Clive Davis, Epstein, and Weinstein, and all these people, despite these prominent people coming from a religious background that at least publicly condemns this type of behavior, this type of behavior keeps coming back to this group of people and their institutions and their industries that they control. And it's interesting that he mentioned Mr. Obama, because who funded Mr. Obama? Who backed Mr. Obama? Mr. Obama's vice president at the time, who's currently the president of the United States, said that he's an avowed Zionist and that you don't even have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. So he's a non-Jewish supremacist as the president of the United States. And as the vice president of the United States, he was helping to advise the then president of the United States that he should pass laws to make gay marriage legal. From my perspective, that would seem like a contradiction, but apparently not, because it's not a contradiction to Clive Davis. It's not a contradiction to Jeffrey Epstein. It's not a contradiction to Harvey Weinstein. But again, as I've pointed out in other shows, sometimes things aren't what they seem, and sometimes when you look deeper into the religion, you find that rules for thee, but not for me. You see what I'm saying? So I would say this: at the moment, as I look at our donations, we're still short. We're still short. And brother, you got ripped off. Suggested 10 people donate $5. We have half of his suggestion. I'm saying we need a little over 30 before the end of the night in order to keep the StreamYard up and running. Right now we're at 25. So I'll leave you all to decide whether or not this show and future shows are worth it. But again, our 4th upload will be going up tomorrow. Now, I think I got one more. Do I got one more article? Oh no, that's the last article on Cloud Theory. So now, if we look at it, right? We have no one that, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be telling lies. To my knowledge, no one has pointed at the hats and said, yo, the common connection between Epstein and the Epstein story and the Katt Williams story is not, well, first of all, no one is even saying there's a connection, but the connection is the Zionists. It's the hats. Epstein's a hat, obviously. Weinstein is a hat, obviously. Katt Williams talked about Weinstein, obviously. Katt Williams talked about Hollywood, obviously. Katt Williams talked about the different black men who are in dresses. The list is long. In fact, we'll do an exercise. Y'all name me the actors in Hollywood, not just comedians, just actors in general. Everybody put in a black male actor who has had to appear in a dress in a movie. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3, go. I'll start with one that's crazy, because this is a brother who has a modicum of knowledge, and is somebody that I kind of low-key respected, and then somebody reminded me that he put on a dress. Wesley Snipes. Y'all remember Wesley Snipes? He made a movie called Tu Wong Fu. He played, I guess he played a transsexual. I just remember seeing him in a dress. Wesley Snipes that played Blade. Wesley Snipes that's at least a 5th degree black belt. Wesley Snipes who probably still at this point can whip half the people that I know. And he's probably 55. Put on the dress. All right, let's go do lists. Jamie Foxx. Even though the brother spelled it wrong, but you know who you're talking about. Yeah, Jamie Foxx put. How long was his show on? Jamie Foxx put on a dress. Martin Lawrence put on a dress. Martin Lawrence put on the dress. He put on the dress for so many years. He put on the dress about 10 times. All right, let's see. Tyler Perry's whole career is putting on a dress. All right. Shaquille O'Neal has not only put on a dress, but I don't actually know what this clip is from. Shaquille O'Neal is a video clip. I don't know if it's a TV show or a skit. I don't know what it is. There's a video of him bending over Kevin Hart and simulating intercourse with him. Speaking of Kevin Hart, the brothers say Kevin Hart put on the dress. All right. You got real off said Michael K. Remind me who Michael K. Williams is. I don't even know who that is. But I already know that you said that he put on the dress. Who are we missing? Didn't Bing Rames put on the dress? Somebody look that up. I'm pretty sure Bing Rames put on the dress. If Bing Rames didn't put on the dress, Ving Rhames did play a scene where he got violated by two Europeans in Pulp Fiction. And the brother says Ving Rhames put on the dress. And somebody said Michael K. Williams is Omar from the White. Well, he ain't even got to put on the dress because he played a whole homosexual. And I'm not too sure that Michael K. Williams wasn't really a homosexual, to be honest. I kind of had accepted that he was really a homosexual. I could be wrong. I don't know. B482-777-9311. Long time no see. Sis Vanessa says Bing put on the dress, and Britt X says Bing put on the dress, and I don't even know what this is. Something called Holiday Heart. Somebody said Chris Rock. Did somebody say Chris Rock? Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson is the original. Let's go to Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson is the original dress putter on her. You know what I'm saying? Flip Wilson put on a dress before I was born, if I'm not mistaken. Because Flip Wilson had his own show. And somebody asked about Eddie Griffin. I don't know if Eddie Griffin put on the dress. But again, this humiliation ritual is obvious, right? Dave Chappelle told us about this, right? Didn't Dave Chappelle tell us about this? Where did he go? He went to Oprah. Right. That's right. Y'all tell me, make sure I'm not tripping. Dave Chappelle went on Oprah and told her about the humiliation ritual. You said Robin Harris put on the dress? You gotta give me some video on that, brother. I'm not doubting you, but I ain't see that. Somebody said Usher just put on the dress. Tyrese just put on something that looked like a dress. Hold up, brother. LeBron put on the dress. Speaking of athletes. Britt X like, hold up. She like, hold up. Shots fired. Dave Chappelle's worn two dresses. One in Robin Hood Men in Tights, the other time with Howard Stern. Man, I almost turned into a Christian out here. I was looking at man, what is the brother's name that be preaching it? And he was talking about TD Jakes. Somebody help me out. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I was watching him talk about TD Jakes, and he was talking about TD Jakes at the Diddy party, and so his deacon or whoever's like, my Lord, man, it was so hilarious. Y'all know the video I'm talking about? Help me out. All right, I'm gonna do an imitation of Geno Jennings. I'm gonna do a Geno Jennings imitation to tell y'all how it went. Geno Jennings was up there like, the bishop was up there with P. Diddy, and they had people up there gyrating and twerking, and they had men dancing up on the pole, and the bishop was sitting up there making this ridiculous face, and then his homeboy was like, my Lord. Man, I watched that clip about 10 times. I'm not gonna lie. It was hilarious because it was true. We're not even going to get into the preachers. We're not going to go there. We're not going to talk about TD Jakes. All we have to say is we already have pretty much determined that Clive Davis, who has admitted that he's a homosexual or bisexual, as he says, met with a young Diddy, and then next thing you know, young Diddy got money, and then he having freak-off sessions, and then next thing you know, TD Jakes is at the freak-off session. All I'm saying is, if you somebody's spiritual advisor, you would advise them to not have the freak-off session, not show up at the freak-off session to advise them. That's all I'm saying. Stop me when I'm lying. But even in all of that, with all that degeneracy, we still look at the hat at the root of it. Right? Think about it. We talk about enslavement all the time. And I told you all that they had a thing for those long trips where the captain would have the cabin boy. And the cabin boy would be used to service the captain. Not the cabin girl, but the cabin boy. Well, who was the ship owners? Who was hiring these people? Right? So this type of behavior and this use of black men and this ritual humiliation and sodomization and destruction of black manhood, we can trace it all the way back 400-500 years in slavery. And now we still have celebrities and athletes bending over and giving evil an opening, as Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad would say. Right? You had the dude, what's his name? Ed Buck. I looked him up. He looked like he's a hat. He's over here with young black homosexual males, getting them drugged up and killing them off. He's a Democratic donor. So every time you look up and you see some type of debauchery and savagery that black people who are big up in some industry, you see a hat around the corner. Right? So to any Europeans that may be listening, when you look up and you see us doing all types of crazy debaucherous stuff and our women out here acting like slores and whatnot, and you see these commercials with a black man and a white man together, because I was trying to look at something. And you know, if you don't pay for streaming, or you don't pay the premium, you get commercials now. I guess it depends on the service. Man, let me tell y'all, I swear, those streaming services, I guess it depends on what you got. I swear at least 50% of the commercials are GHEY. Right? There's some type of homophilia. It being completely honest, maybe 60% of the commercials. I did it. When I look at something, I press play and then I get up and walk out and wait for the theme song to finish, then come back. And sometimes they give you the double dip. They give you the commercial before, then as soon as the theme song over, they give you the commercial again before the show comes over. They're like, no, you're going to accept this homophilia, buddy. You're going to watch this. If you want to watch this show, you're going to watch this homophilia. So that's just where it is now. How'd you know, bro? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. 75%. That Hulu, man. You gonna watch some homophilia, you watch that Hulu. You ain't got to sign up for it. If you watch that commercial, I don't care what the commercial's for. The commercial could be for anything. Commercial could be for milk. Commercial could be for credit cards. The commercial, I don't care what it's for. It's gonna be GHEY. Hulu's crazy, but Hulu's connected to Disney. And if you try to watch anything Disney now with Miss Marvel and the Marvels and any Marvel, Star Wars, you're going to accept that feminism if you watch that stuff. If you watch anything after 2018, after Avengers Endgame, including Avengers Endgame, now that I think about it, you're going to accept that feminism. You're going to watch it whether you like it or not. So, I mean, that's what's being pushed. I think really quickly, they got on what's his name? Boozy? What's that dude's name? He said he walked out The Color Purple because he said they was pushing the agenda. And I laughed because I'm like, I guess he wasn't old enough to see the original. I will give somebody credit that I don't normally give credit to. Not at least not recently. There's an old clip from, it's probably 40 years ago now, to be honest, where Minister Farrakhan breaks down The Color Purple. It's one of the best breakdowns of a movie you'll ever see. And I don't think he connected it to the hats, but it connects to the hats. And You get a chance to watch it. Watch it. So, brothers and sisters, since we are nearly up on 2 hours, I really thank you all for listening. I thank you all for subscribing. I thank you all for supporting. And just do me a favor. Spread the message. First of all, if y'all think it was worth your time to listen to this and give me your 2 hours of your day, you can put a 1 in the chat. And also, if no one else, if you know that no one else thought about or would talk about this situation in this light the way I have, y'all let me know. And I don't know who donated, but thank you all. You have pushed us over the top. Okay, I see. The good brother Elijah and brother Dessalines pushing us over the top. Thank you, brothers. I appreciate you all so much. And like I said, don't forget, we got another video tomorrow. We're talking about a MPD officer who was accused, charged, tried, and convicted of violating a child. So I covered that because that's one of those cases that flew by the radar, and I just wanted to give it some coverage. Also, later in the week, I should have one more video dealing with the Mississippi situation. You all remember, if you saw it, I talked about Dexter Wade in Mississippi. Well, it turns out now they have found 215 bodies in that same area where Dexter Wade was buried without notifying his mother. So Mississippi is Mississippiing, and so we're going to do a video on that, and hopefully that will be released this week. So be sure to check out tomorrow's video. It drops at 8 o'clock. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let your friends, let your neighbors know. We're trying to get up to, I'm going to be honest, I'm trying to get past the 1,000 mark as far as subscribers by the end of 2024. If I don't get up to 1,000 by the end of 2024, I may just pack it up. I may just give up the YouTube thing. Because, again, I cannot control whether or not they monetize it. I can only attempt to achieve passing the metrics where they consider you for monetization. At the moment, right now, I think all my strikes are gone, but I do have like a warning, and that doesn't end, I think, to the end of this month. So we will see. We'll see where it goes from there. So with that, brothers and sisters, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. Give me 2 hours of your day, of your life. Thank you all for forming this digital community. But no, brother, the warning was there. But no, the warning's been there. But hey, you saying tonight? We shall see. You say, can I do a show with a panel? Dessalines, give me more. You mean like I've done previously, as far as like a relationship panel, or what type of panel? Let me know what you mean real quick. Because I can. In fact, I thought about it. I actually, to be honest, I thought about doing that in February. For bringing a panel of brothers and sisters. So if that's what you mean, I'm gonna try to do that in either February or March. Oh, you mean a call-in? What I could do instead of a call in, like what I could do now is I could actually, for a show, I'll pick a show where to try it out, where I could just send a link and the person can link in via their computer or I guess they can do it via their phone, and they could just be part of the show like that. I could do it like that. But a call in, that's a whole different thing, and I'm not even sure how that would work, but I'm sure that would take some additional technology outside of what I'm currently using. So, but yeah, DM me, brother. Or in fact, you got my number, right? Text me or whatever, and we'll talk about that. So, if we have nothing else, we have no other business. Again, thank you all. And with that, I say a BB for Hodie and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cashapp is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for Hodie and straight black pride.